So I want to talk about frame rates and I want to talk about resolution. So when we talk about slowing down clips or people saying, hey, I watched this video, it's in AI, that bullet came from the side of the neck, I really want to show you what they're actually trying to convince you. So check this out. Okay, so like people like I am, Jen Colin, do some great work, but I really want to show you what that means. So take a look at this video, okay? This is a video I filmed with Ken O'Keefe. And if you hit Command, if you open up any video on, or any movie or film on your Mac, and you just hit Command I, it's gonna bring up your inspector card. So your inspector card shows you your resolution and your frame rate. So let's just start with resolution, just because this is the most crazy, right? So when we're all watching this video of Charlie, we're like, yeah, man, this video is massive, right? It's full screen, okay. Let me open it again and show you. So I open it again and show you, okay, there it is, okay. Now look at the resolution, 150 by 58. But until you see it this way, you can't really comprehend it, okay. So we have Ken O'Keefe in here, and if we go up to our settings and we go to sequence settings, we come over here, we can see that we're at 3,840 times 2,160. So that is your size of your actual frame, okay? That is 4K, that is standard 4K. Now they do a little bit bigger size for 4K, but we'll just go. That was 4K in 2017. Okay, so you're watching this video, you're like, yeah. Over here, you're watching the video of Ken, and you see the video next to Charlie, you're like, okay, same size video, okay. What does that mean though? Now watch when I put the video of Charlie, we come over here, and we grab this video of Charlie, and we throw it in here. You understand how much smaller this actual video is than this actual video. This is 4K. This is what we are watching here, zoomed in on, zoomed in on, zoomed in on. And what does that mean? And now the next thing I want to show you right here is actual frame rate. So everything we film is pretty much in 30 frames per second, right? Or 29.97. Now, if I grab another clip from, say, X, let's just go to one other random one I downloaded. Let's check this one out. Okay, this one right here, 30 frames per second. What that most likely tells me is somebody actually put that into a program like Video Leap or CapCut, and they re-rendered it, or iMovie, and they re-rendered it out, because most likely the phone that filmed this was filming in 29 frames per second or 60 frames per second, okay? So when you talk about a clip being at 15 frames per second, Command I again, you can see we're at 15 frames per second. So this video has already been altered. Obviously you can tell by the resolution it's been altered. That's not good. And then it's hard to say like, yeah, what happened to Charlie Kirk's neck there? We're all doing our best to try to figure this out, but it's hard because that's what you're actually looking at. So you would have to get on a magnifying glass and a microscope and zoom into that, or you're blowing it up and it's looking like this. Now what happens? Now what this means is this has been uploaded to X at 30 frames per second. Somebody downloaded it, they slowed it down by 50% and they re-uploaded it. Why is that also a bad thing? Okay, so take a look at every detail on Ken's face. I mean, we can get in there, we can see the wrinkles, we could probably see some nose hairs in there, you can see every facial hair. Now when you look up at the hat, this has been rendered one time. So when you're rendering, an algorithm's rendering, it's trying to make the size of that file, right? The bit rate, the file size, as small as possible, especially when it's uploading to Twitter, because Twitter doesn't want to store all that space. So what Twitter does is it looks for any color where there's not much movement, like this is all black. So instead of having every pixel be in detail there, if there's no movement, what it's going to do is it's going to clump it into one. Take a look at Charlie's hair. Take a look here, you can see a little bit better. You can see a little bit more of a defined hair there. This looks just like one big blob. So what this tells us is this has been re-uploaded, downloaded again, re-uploaded again. So if I uploaded this to X, downloaded it, re-uploaded it, downloaded it, re-uploaded it, eventually you wouldn't be able to see any wrinkles in his face. You wouldn't be, the tattoos would start to blur together. All of this would be just one solid blob for sure. And eventually it would be so compressed that it would be so blurry that you almost couldn't see anything. So when we talk about, is it AI? Was it AI? Was this used? Was that used? Unless we are actually talking about getting the original video in 60 frames per second. That was, remember when his ring was changing fingers? And I go, holy crap, you know what's crazy about this and the stuff that they could get away with before that they're not able to get away with now? It's because most iPhones, if you have the settings set right, are filming in 60 frames per second. Most people put them back to 30 because it makes the files twice as big. And if you have an iPhone that doesn't have much storage, you don't want to waste all that storage and have to delete videos every 10 days. So what you do is you change your settings to 30 frames per second or 24 frames per second. When you're watching a movie at the movie theater, 24 frames per second. When you're watching a TV show on TV, 30 frames per second. When you're watching a kid play a video game or stream video games, 60 frames per second, because the gamers need to see every little movement. And if the more frames per second you have, the quicker, every little detail, every blade of grass, every hair, everything is bigger. And there's more to this too. We can talk about the bit rate next and the codecs, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. This should be enough to help you guys understand. And one last little bit I'm going to throw in there, right? Okay, so when you're filming with my Sony A6100 or Sony FX3, or I'm filming on my iPhone, it's filming in actually 29.97 frames per second. Anytime you see one that's in actually 30 frames per second, the only device that films at flat 30 frames per second is an actual GoPro. All cameras, all iPhones, almost all, actually, well, I just know iPhone specifically. So any iPhone or any device, any Sony device, we're all filming in 29.9 frames per 29.97 frames per second. When you're filming in 60 frames per second, you're actually filming at 59.94 frames per second, okay? Do you understand that? So if you see a video that's uploaded and it actually says 60 frames per second, most likely that was either shot on a GoPro or it was actually uploaded into something like Video Leap or CapCut, rendered out, then re-uploaded to X where it's on X, so that's 2 compressions, downloaded again, 3 compressions. Do you see where I'm going with this? By the time you have somebody that's like editing or trying to zoom in on a clip or anything like that, if it's not the original, it is so compressed that you can't, every pixel in that video is not original. The algorithm has compressed it, it's clumped things together, it makes the bullet hole move positions and bounce around, and then when you slow it down from 30 frames to 15 frames per second, there is no such thing as 15 frames per second. When you take a video that's filmed in 30 frames per second, you slow it down by 50%, you are literally losing 50% of your frames every second that you play that video. So it jumps, it skips, it's I don't know how else to explain it. I hope that made sense for you guys.